Interesting. The second use case that I was curious about is just pure like stats reporting. I used to get this thing drilled into my head when I was at effing for Con, basically says like you need to make sure every single week you're like updating the scoreboard of like how the stats are in marketing or outreach or whatever. Otherwise, it's like he gave this story of like um, imagine you played basketball for an hour and there was no score. So at the end of it, you just have a bunch of people who are sweaty and they threw a basket in a hole and they didn't actually know who won. And so like the story there was like you need to make sure you're tracking like your stats like religiously almost. And that was like the hardest thing every week because it's like, all right, I've got to go into LinkedIn, export this, go in Post Hog, export this, Twitter, export this, YouTube, export this, customer IO for our emails, a ton of different things to export. And then you have to format the data, then you have to put it in, and then you have to display it. Similar to, I guess, how you talk about PR reviews at your all hands. What would it look like to be able to take all of that data, or how would you set up an agent to take all of that data, whether it's with, analytics on sales or analytics on marketing or analytics, just analytics in general, and turn that into, a weekly report?
Yeah. I would probably use our new open source framework Stagehand for that. It's pretty cool.
How does it work?
We just did this demo. So the way it works is that you can use natural language to automate any website. And it's actually one of the first SDKs where the prompting is included in the code. So your code doesn't look like traditional code. It's actually like stagehand.act, go to this website, stagehand.extract this data in this format. And you're using natural language. It's like a code and natural language hybrid, which is kind of unique. You're putting the prompts in your code. And we've really seen a lot of community adoption around it. And it's really fun for building things. That's how I built these kind of Amazon bot we have internally. That's how I built a lot of my stuff. You kind of need to use AI to dynamically interact with these web pages because otherwise it's really brittle and hard to build these automations. And Stagehand is really this kind of like web agent framework that makes it really easy for you to build a feature that uses AI to automate the web. So in your case, if you have to go to a website, maybe this is maybe you're doing something in like Shopify and you don't have access to the APIs, but you're building like a drop shipping business in Shopify. Well, you can have stagehand.go to your Shopify control panel, stagehand.login, here's my credentials, stagehand.extract my sales from this week. And then with that data, you can plug that into some sort of report. You can put it in a database. You can put in a Slack webhook that will send you a Slack message like, here's your stuff. And then you run it every single week, So it makes it so you can focus more on the business logic and less about like the tactical ways to interact with a website to get the data you want. And that's what programming should be. Programming should be about laying out business logic, not having to deal with the nuance of like a page slightly changing a flow and now all of a sudden your code breaks. Stagehand makes that really easy.
Awesome. All right. Well, you came on the podcast 6 months ago and you predicted what the next 6 months would look like. I guess we can say that you did a good job of predicting it. What do the next 6 months look like?
I'll stretch it out to a whole year. To
Okay.
me, 2025 is going to be the year of the browser. My good friends over at the browser company said something similar, and I really love what they're doing there on the consumer side. It's clear to me that models are going to continue to get better, and they're going to be able to handle more and more complex tasks. And if they're able to handle more and more complex tasks, that means they can automate more for people. But if they got to automate stuff for people, they're going to need to use the things that we use to interact with our tools, which is a web browser. So I think 2025 is really going to be a breakout year for browser-based. And I'm excited to kind of come out of it the other side. Hopefully I still have my hair. Hopefully I'm sleeping a little bit, but it's going to be a really crazy year next year. If you thought 2024 was big for browser-based, just wait till next year.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Cool, man. Yeah, good to see you again.